Let's start. Good morning. Guys, Jim, we need absolute silence. Please turn your cell phones off. Settle down. Great. My name is Jared Blumenfeld. I'm the director of the San Francisco Department of the Environment, and today is really a momentous day for San Francisco, but hopefully also for the Bay Area, the nation, and others that can see what's happening here today and learn. This is not actually microphoned out, so the people who can't hear, it's because there is no amplification. This is what you're going to get. So speak up, because you've got a big crowd of people back there who I guess can't hear me. We're here at the Ferry Building for a reason. 95% of what goes on both inside the building and outside the building is now either recycled or composted. These guys have been at the leading edge for many, many years. And part of the reason they've been at the leading edge is because of Dave Stockdale, the executive director of Quasar. Dave is going to hopefully here. Yes. Right behind me. Sorry. So speak up and tell us why you're proud to be here today, Dave. Yes, or not. Dave. Maybe you're not.
Yeah. I am very proud to be here. Welcome to the Ferry Plaza Farmers Market. My name is Dave Stockdale. I'm the executive director of Quasar, and we are the nonprofit that operates this market. About a year and a half ago, we began putting the final pieces together for our waste-wise stations. We have our 3-bin system up and operating in the market, and it's made a huge difference. We have nearly a 95% diversion rate, as you heard. What's that mean? That means just from this one site alone and a farmer's market on only 2 days a week, we are keeping nearly 35 tons of waste out of the landfill each year. That's just us. So think what happens if everybody's doing that. An added bonus for us, nearly 2/3 of that diversion is compostable. That gets composted, and these farmers selling here today take that compost and put it back on the farm. So we have really closed the loop. The waste from this market helps grow the food that gets sold in this market. So we think that's the way the system really should work. So we're very proud to welcome everyone here today to learn more about how this system will work for all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. So I want to tell a little bit of a story about how we got here today. About a year ago, Robert Haley and I sat down with the mayor to talk about Earth Day. And he said, what can we do that's practical and visionary and really makes sense? And the mayor said, you know what? I think it's time for mandatory recycling. We've got as far as we can, absolutely as far as we can, up to 72% with the current programs. And the instructions he gave us is meet with everyone. I don't want to just you to meet with the guys that are going to agree with you. I want to make sure you meet with everyone, every single person that is involved. And this is a big world. It doesn't seem like these 3 carts behind us would bring together a lot of people, but truly it did. It took more than a village. It took an entire city. And it took a lot of compromises. It took a lot of back and forth to work out how to make this work. And I just wanted, before we bring the mayor up, to acknowledge some of those people that are behind us. Kevin Wesley, Bert Palacci, Jim Lazarus, Wade Crowfoot from the mayor's office, Bob Morales from the Teamsters, Patricia Rayburn, who's actually from the equity office holder here. They are registering to be the first LEED Platinum existing building in the nation. We're also the oldest LEED Platinum building in the nation. Paul Giusti and the whole team, Robert Reed and others from Recology, they have been an incredible partner and actually decided to change their name halfway through this to Waste Zero. So they got so infected with zero waste that they put it in their name. We're going to hear from some of the other union folks, but Asha Safai has been really amazing from the janitors, Mark Westland, Jack Macy, Robert Haley from the Department of Environment, and really everyone on the zero waste community that's stepped up to make this happen. But these things don't just happen. People think, oh, it's going to be a radical piece of legislation, and of course it's going to be San Francisco, but it takes a huge amount of work. I think if you look at whose name is at the bottom of the piece of legislation, the first name was Mayor Newsom. Well, that's kind of obvious. He cares about green issues. But the second was Chris Daly. Not many things in partners. And the thing is that there is room for partnership on the environment. The mayor's always said that this is an issue that transcends even the fractious boundaries of San Francisco politics. But it wouldn't have happened without the leadership of Mayor Newsom, who continues to push the Department of Environment and the entire city to do more. So it's a great honor that I bring to the mic my boss, Mayor Newsom.
Thanks, Sheriff. And thank you all very much for coming out. As many of you know, and some of you may not know, so I'll share this, especially with the group assembled over there. We have a local global climate action plan to roll back our CO2 emissions 20% below 1990 levels by 2012. In essence, what we're calling for goes twice as far as the Kyoto protocols. And it was one of the first comprehensive global climate action plans that was put together by a municipality a number of years ago. In order to get there, you've got to manifest those words and the ideals through a series of initiatives. As you know, we have the most aggressive solar program in the country, the most aggressive green building standards in the country, most aggressive alternative fuels strategy in America. But we're very prideful of the fact that we also have the most aggressive recycling program in the United States of America. In 1996, and I say 1900 because it sounds like it was longer than 1996, but in 1996, we had just 35% recycling rates. No one thought it was possible to reach 50% diversion in our city. In fact, most cities in the country haven't reached 50%. The fact that we reached 50% and didn't stop there is a remarkable achievement. We actually just announced a few months ago that we had reached 72%. And I can assure you, once you get above 60, 65%, it's extraordinarily difficult to get much higher. So for us to have achieved that goal of 72% was an extraordinary milestone for us. But we realized that in order to meet our goals, the larger goals that I referenced and the goals that we have for recycling, which is 75% diversion by 2010, that we would have to do things dramatically differently. All this time we never required recycling in our city. You go to cities like Seattle, they've long required recycling. It's a legal obligation to recycle. We had never done that. We had frankly incentivized it through this remarkable initiative that was launched in partnership with Recology, formerly Sunset Scavenger and others. And we incentivize good behavior. The company makes more money and you pay less money by doing the right thing. In fact, this should be a model for every municipality, not only across the state of California, but I believe across this country. 72% in a big city without a lot of stress, without a lot of controversy, until we added composting in the mix. In this case, not just figuratively, literally. All of a sudden, the headlines were garbage police. They're coming. They're going to cite you. They're going to shut you down. People had forgotten, again, that other cities had already been requiring recycling. They hadn't necessarily gone out in aggressive ways and fined and cited people. Quite the contrary. They used the citation, the ability to cite, in order to change behavior. San Francisco will be no different. I know that it is so easy to do because it generates headlines and generates controversy, and it generally relates to our sort of general interest in finding out more when there's a controversy about us or surrounding us. But the reality is these fines, this $100 fine, is rarely, if ever, going to be exercised unless you are blatantly violating the spirit or the letter of the law. So the reason the fines are there is to get people to change their behavior. But we're not going to try to do it by fining first. We're going to be incentivizing behavior. And we're going to be doing a series of things like marketing this initiative. And one very easy way to market is on pizza boxes. So we're buying advertising on pizza boxes, and we're going to be marketing how easy it is to change behavior, including how easy it will be to begin by changing behavior with what you do with your pizza box. If you have a grease-stained pizza box, which, depending on where you buy your pizza, as our good chef will recognize, then the idea is to compost it. and this is the information we have right here. Pizza box is not greasy. You put it in the blue box, but you put it into the composting bin if indeed it is greasy. This is, again, all part of a very comprehensive marketing campaign that you'll not just see on these pizza boxes, but you'll see in bus shelters. You'll see it in terms of the literature we hand out in your mailboxes, etc. So we're trying to, again, make this an easy transition, an easy process, and then we'll eventually get to the point where we may have to highlight one or two people that are being egregious, that are thumbing their nose a year or two from now. But again, it is not a fine first strategy. It's an education strategy. We're going to incentivize this good behavior. 36% of what already ends up in the landfill should be composted. We can easily get to our 75% goal. We can get north of 75. You think we'll get to remarkably, and Jared believes that if everybody composted in this city, we'd be at 90% diversion rate like that, which is just extraordinary when you think about it. 90% of what a city consumes we can divert away from the landfill by just doing that final piece, or at least among the final pieces, the composting part. So that's really the spirit of the day. We're going to sign this legislation. We're going to do something no other city in the United States has done, and you know how we like doing that. We love leading by example. And we hope that other cities will follow suit very soon. The goal ultimately is zero waste by 2020, and we think that's an achievable goal. As remarkable as that may sound, we absolutely believe that is an achievable goal. That could not happen without the partners you see behind me. Jared mentioned them. They have done this work. This did not go off so well initially. This got leaked into the press. There was a big headline, and everyone behind me was upset with me because they hadn't heard about it. They only read about it. But then Jared did a great job of reaching out to folks and trying to explain what our intent was, and we're very blessed to have our Chamber of Commerce, to have a Building Owners and Management Association, to have our Teamsters, and to have our janitors and others that all signed up. This is a true partnership and a collaborative. We had the Apartment Association in San Francisco all say, all right, we may not be overwhelmingly enthusiastic, but we're not completely as pessimistic and negative as we once were, as long as it's implemented in an appropriate manner, right? That's all the stakeholders say that. So this is subject to tweaking, this is subject to augmentation, this is subject to adjustments in the next few months. But we're very proud of this, and we do think this raises the bar for every other city in the country. Final point. This simply would not have happened. Our plastic bag ban would not have happened. So much of what we're doing in terms of environmental justice and stewardship would not have happened had it not been for two people, Jared Bloomfeld, the Director of the Department of Environment, and Wade Crowfoot. So a big round of applause to Jared and Wade for their leadership, for their vision, and their example. Thank you.
Thank you. One amazing fact that we learned about compost. If you had a traditional acre of farm and you seeded it, you fertilized it, without compost, you'd be putting 3,800 pounds of CO2 into the atmosphere. So all the petrochemicals and everything that traditional agriculture uses. If you instead put it in the compost bin, it gets turned into organic compost, and that compost was used on the same acre, you'd be putting 1,200 pounds of CO2 into the soil. So not only would it not go up into the atmosphere, it's about a 5-fold difference. So using the compost also makes a world of difference. And someone that's made a world of difference in San Francisco is Charles Fan. We all went when it was on Valencia Street to Slanted Door. He then moved to the Ferry Building. He then opened in the, became a chain. Right. I'm teasing. He went to the Westfield Mall. I'm going to say a little bit about that in a second. And now he's at the California Academy of Sciences. So 3 of the landmark places that people visit in San Francisco, you can get incredible New Age Vietnamese food. I love it. I'm addicted to the cabbage and jicama and grapefruit salad. That's my favorite. When he went to the Westfield Mall, the Westfield was the largest mall being developed on the west of the Mississippi. And he was one of the anchor tenants, and they said, you know what, this is what we're going to be doing with compost. And he's like, I'm not going to move in. I will not have my restaurant here if you don't do a proper job of composting. So they designed an entire system, which you guys can go and tour one day. Basically, all the compost is put into water. It travels about half a mile and then goes into a compost bin because there was such a lack of space. But really, the most revolutionary compost system in the United States was created because of the pressure that Charles Fan put on the Westfield developers to make it work. So this guy is a hero in my mind and really deserves a lot of praise for what he's done on the environment. And now he's going to say a few words.
Thank you, Jared. Mr. Mayor, it's an honor to be here. I just want to tell you, this thing just didn't happen overnight. It started when I opened my restaurant in 1995. Some guy walked into my restaurant from the city and said, hey, you want to compost? And at that time, sounds kind of cool. And they say, well, there might be money in it. So I listened. And it was really back then when they sort of trying it out. We were part of the guinea pig program because of the Kyoto Protocol that they want to reduce their waste. This is one way of doing it. So 14 years ago, we started. In the beginning, was just vegetable, no meat. And quickly, I think a year or two into it, that's when the major change happened when they say you can put your chicken bone, your wax cardboard. And it's just amazing. And this thing just didn't happen overnight. And we've been compo ever since. But really, it's coming from the mayor's office and all these people behind. It took that long. It didn't happen overnight. And I have to tell you, I've been traveling around the country. I just came back from New York, cooking at Meals on Wheel, and I was also right after that went to Cleveland and cooked for the Ireland Cancer Research Center, and I can't compost. And I know where, Los Angeles, you go around, they had no idea how to do this stuff. They think of compost as like something you put your garden leaf that you pick up in the fall and put it that once a year. So it's amazing what we have here. And you got to learn more about how to do it, because literally you can put so much thing in this green bin, and we're tracking around 80 and 90%, and we only have 10% waste. And now obviously the oil going to biodiesel, the cardboard, the bottle. So I just once again thank the mayor, and this is an amazing city to be in. Thank you.
Hey, but Charles reminding, we're taking the fats, oils, and grease as well from restaurants and then converting that. We'll pick it up. It's the FOG program, and we'll pick it up and convert it to biodiesel, to B20, that actually is literally, as that bus you see right there is one of the buses that's literally running on fats, oils, and grease from Charles Place and other places around the city. So again, it's a different way of thinking and doing at the same time in an environmentally sensitive manner.
So about a year ago, we were launching another really critical environmental initiative around green building. And at the time, one of the unlikely heroes, certainly from the statewide and even national perspective, is the Building and Owners and Managers Association. BOMA isn't always on the cutting edge of green stuff, but here in San Francisco, people were kind of shocked to know that building and owners cared about the state of their building and wanted to make them green. And when it came to recycling, we've had a long partnership with BOMA, giving awards to the top achieving buildings for at least the last 10 years. BOMA's always cared about recycling, and now they care about composting too. And Ken Cleveland has been really a leader it's been a privilege to work with. So, Ken?
Thank you, Jared. It's a pleasure to be here representing the Building Owners and Managers Association. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our organization represents about 70 million square feet of office space here in San Francisco. And that 70 million square feet of office space generates about 70% of the trash in San Francisco. So we, in 1987, began a recycling program, a high-rise recycling program, and have been leaders, really, in recycling from the very beginning. So it's not a surprise for me that our organization is here today supporting the mayor to take this recycling effort to the next level. So it's our pleasure to sign on. It's a partnership. recycling is everybody's responsibility. It's the tenant's responsibility. It's the responsibility of the janitorial cleaning companies, janitors, management. Everyone has to be involved in recycling, and we're going to do our part. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being here and showing your leadership on this issue.
Another partner that really understands what it means. We hear a lot, and the mayor has been on the vanguard of talking and acting around the issue of green jobs. Green jobs often seems like something out there that people don't really understand. What does it mean to have a green job in this economy? What does it mean to have a green collar paycheck that comes in every month? Someone that really understands this intimately is Olga Miranda with SEIU Local 87. The people that she works with, and she herself really understands what recycling means to the future of her employees and the future of the city. Olga?
Hello. Hi, my name is Olga Miranda, and I'm the president of SEIU Local 87. We represent about 3,500 janitors, all of which clean a lot of the buildings here in San Francisco, including the Ferry Building. I want to be able to first thank the mayor for his innovative ways of always setting the bar very high when it comes to historic and landmark legislation. This has not only brought a lot of people to the table who, quite frankly, as the Janitors Union and the Teamsters, to have a press conference next to Mr. Wesley here from BOMA isn't a thing we do every day, right, Bob? But I want to be able to say that this is not just about the environment. What our mayor has done here is not only save our local environment, but set the standard to be able to, in this economy, this very questionable and volatile economy, our mayor was actually able, through this legislation, create green jobs for janitors. The reason that the legislation is so high when it comes to the standards, as far as the legislation is built in so that new jobs will be created based on the pickup of how much trash and recycling and composting will be done within a building. And this is something that no one, not New York and not Los Angeles, has thought of, to be able to, in this economy, be able to create jobs out of a rock. In this case, out of green jobs. And we're very proud that for our janitors, for the Teamsters Union, we pick up all the trash. These buildings look beautiful. They're clean because our janitors make them clean. And we're very proud of that. Our brothers at the Teamsters, they pick up that trash every night in the evening. But this legislation is historic for us because our mayor, our San Francisco mayor, was able to create jobs within this legislation for a lot of working families. There's too many workers out of work right now. And thanks to our mayor and all the people that have been able to sit at the table around us, everyone. I want to thank the Department of Environment. I want to be able to thank Wade Crowfoot, who kept bringing all the parties together, and the mayor, who at the end of the day was able to put everybody in the same room and get it done. This is one legislation that, when we talk about legacies, our mayor will be able to be proud of, that this is what he gave our city. And hopefully, on a statewide level, a year from now, we'll be able to say that he created this legislation on a statewide level for workers throughout the entire state of California as our new governor. And I want to be able to thank everyone, Mr. Bob Morales, my brother, and from the Teamsters, our Janitors Union, BOMA, who's actually sat with us, Paul Giusti, the Department of Environment, Jack Macy, Mr. Bloomfeld, Wade Crowfoot. I want to be able to say that if this makes the news tonight, which I'm sure it will because the mayor's here, I want people to understand that this legislation will be creating green jobs. And this is very, very important that in this economy, one mayor in the whole country can say, I've made it. It can be done. This can be done. In Spanish, sí se puede. ¿Se puede? Thank you. Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you. Bye.
Next up, and finally, we have the president of the Recreation and Park Commission, Jim Lazarus. He's also, with the Chamber of Commerce of San Francisco. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jared, Interim General Manager of the Recreation and Park Commission. Just very briefly, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, almost 2,000 businesses throughout the city, mostly small businesses, what the mayor's administration has done is really taught us what we need to do as citizens. But what this legislation does, very simply, is saves money for business. We were at the table, and we appreciate the work of the mayor's office and the Department of Environment in crafting a workable piece of legislation that will reach the goals of getting us over that 90% threshold on compost and recycling, getting close to that zero waste, and doing it in a way that saves business money, whether it's a small business out in the Richmond district or a big business in a downtown office building. Diverting saves business money. It saves consumers money. We're pleased to be part of the process that led to this legislation. Thank you very much.
So now we have.
I guess he wants to sign on this. Yeah.
Well, no, you get
Only
to
in
sign
San
it.
Francisco,
Right.
Yeah. Well, maybe Berkeley too.
Who's going to pop out of there?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Chris Daly. It was my idea.
Yeah.
That gives trash talk a new meaning.
This is good, guys. Hey, why don't we all get a photo together? Everyone come in mine.
Come on. Let me navigate.
Get in, guys. Come on. Get all in. Yeah.
Bob.
And I do sincerely want to thank, I mean this, Supervisor Daly and Mercarini, because they did co-sponsor this and they did help process this legislation, which was meaningful. So I do want to thank the Board of Supervisors for making this possible. Composting. All right.
Do folks have any questions? 2 or 3 questions people have?
You got it?
No?
Thanks, guys.
Excellent. It was self-explanatory.
Thanks, all.